Welcome to the Paranoid Perspective. I'm Jake.
And I'm Sarah.
Today we're going to get into some crazy shit, the most crazy shit. More emphasis, I think, on the shit part than crazy.
Yeah.
But today we're going to talk about flat Earth. Sarah, are you a flat earther?
No.
No? Well, you just clearly just haven't looked into it. I'm going to use all the
Right.
talking points. Yeah, I'm going to use all of them.
You're going to try to convince people to be one?
No, I'm not going to do any such thing. Yeah, well, okay. To preface this, I'm not saying you should never be skeptical. I'm not saying that, you shouldn't look into things. You should always do your research. This is so stupid, though. I just don't understand. I get it when, human beings were coming up, and we were just trying to start to figure out the world. I get it.
Yeah.
We're not there anymore, okay? We put combustible materials in vehicles and it squirts out the back and we fly through the air and drive around and you can see it. Anyway, this is going to be a fun one. So, what is the flat Earth? Well, I was thinking about not, being a dick about this, but I think I'm going to be. So, flat Earth is an archaic and scientifically disproven concept of the Earth's shape as a plane or a disk. I've seen a lot of interesting pictures. There's one really good one. I'll try to send it I'll put it in the show notes or have somewhere. But it looks like a big square pretty much, and it's like a bowl almost. But it like raises up in the center a little bit, right where the United States is, also. Because that's where we forget the heliocentric model. We need to talk about the United States model, right? Because that's always what it looks like. But I thought that was really funny because it literally just looks like a piece of carved wood,
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Is it like the map thing where the person who made the map is in the center? Like, are there flat earthers elsewhere that their country's in the center?
I don't know.
The
That's a good
pictures, or did it
question.
start?
Well, so we can kind of start getting into like where it started. I think it's one of those things where once human beings started living in civilizations and we didn't have to worry about finding food and we didn't have to worry about fighting off animals and we were able to actually think and conceptualize things. I wouldn't have a date for you on that, but I think that's probably when it started. When we had established civilization, established agriculture, and now we can be a little bit more comfortable than just hunter-gatherers and be like, oh, okay, how does this world work in which we live in now that we're not running away from lions and I have food to eat tonight,
Right.
But the idea of a spherical Earth appeared as far back as like the 6th century in like Greek philosophy. Those guys kind of knew a thing or two, as far as civilizations
Didn't they
goes.
actually measure?
Yeah, so and here we go. This is what's going to provide all the ammos for any of you flat earthers out there. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so I'm probably just a shill for NASA. And how does that shill wine taste over there, Sarah? It's pretty good over here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be better.
Yeah,
Could get a little bit more money from it.
Yeah, it could always be better. Maybe you should be a flat earther and put YouTube videos up. You might make more money that way.
Not anymore.
That's true. So let's see. Yeah, like I said, between like the 5th and 6th century is when this was kind of first proposed of that spherical Earth. But early in the 4th century, Plato wrote about a spherical Earth. And so, I mean, you're not like I said, now that we have everything kind of established, we have advanced civilizations compared to hunter-gatherers as far as like the Greek Empire and stuff like that. Now we can actually sit and think about these philosophical ideas or these natural world ideas that we've never been able to think about before.
Right. I mean, before that, they didn't really care.
Well, there was no reason to care. You're just trying to survive at that point. But whenever you think about like the knowledge of that, I cannot remember the name of the person, but putting 2 sticks on the ground and watching how it goes, or watching how the sun passes over and does, the different shadows. So, I'm gonna have to look this up because this is a super super fun one. But measuring the shadows from wells in two different points on the earth and seeing the difference of the angle of those shadows. This was done in those early centuries.
Mm.
And so it's not like anything that's been it's been proven for a very long time, you know. But there's a handful of cultures and countries that, for instance, there were ancient Chinese scholars that consistently described the earth as flat. This perception remained unchanged until their encounter with Jesuit missionaries in the
Oh, wow.
17th century. Yeah, so it's not like I try not to think about this as like a centralized place, as like, you know, the Mediterranean or medieval Europe or something like that. I'm trying to figure out like the whole scope of the human race here on how we kind of navigated this. So it was, I mean, the 17th century, that's pretty early or pretty close to where we are, relatively speaking, compared to, the third and fourth century.
Right. Yeah.
But it's one of the things that I was really interested in here was it's a historical myth that the medieval Europeans generally thought the earth was flat, because you always think about like,
Mm.
when Christopher Columbus went to come over, they were freaking out because they thought he was going to sail off the earth. I don't think that was a real thing. You know what I
That
mean?
would be really funny, though. I mean, why would they go if they thought that would happen?
Right. I mean, once again, you're going off of the information that you have, and at that point in time, ships just disappeared over the horizon. So and there was stuff over there. So I get the idea from that perspective of, well, we don't really know what's over there. It could just drop off into nothing. You know, Probably the same thing as when ancient hunter gatherers first climbed over a mountain and they like, well, man, there's
Mm.
probably nothing over there. You know what I mean? It's just too high. And they got to the top of the mountain and looked out and were like, holy shit, there's more stuff over here. Anyway, but that medieval European like flat Earth belief was actually created in the 17th century by Protestants to argue against Catholic teachings. So
Of
once
course.
again, the motivation isn't that we're trying to figure out the shape of the Earth; it's to go against the status quo. Like right off the bat, you can see that in the 17th century.
Yeah.
And then
Just to be
when
contrarian.
Exactly. That's what I really enjoyed about finding out that fact, is that we were told this myth about, flat earth Europeans in the medieval times, and it was pretty much just because Protestants and Catholics were button heads. That's it. But and to kind of wrap up kind of other parts of the world, traditional Muslim scholars have maintained the earth is flat, but since about the ninth century, Muslim scholars tended to believe in a spherical earth. So you can see there like that there was a time, between about the 4th and 10th century, it looks like, that everybody kind of agreed, like, okay, that most likely this is a sphere that we're living on. But despite the scientific facts and the obvious effects of the Earth's um, shape as a sphere, the flat Earth conspiracy theories persist from the early 2010s, the latest, which, dude, I remember when this first blew up, it was so fucking annoying because I don't know. But believers in the flat Earth have increased since that time, both as membership in the flat Earth societies, which I think is kind of funny because you talk to flat earthers or you hear interviews about flat earthers and they're like, I'm not part of that. I'm still, like you said, I'm still a contrarian, even against the thing
Right.
that's contrarian. But
Oh, man.
a lot of this has been, I don't think it's as organized as people want to make it out to be. I think it's a bunch of idiots on social media. That's
Yeah. I mean,
that.
how many
There you go.
people do you think join, like, just because it's funny
No,
instead of
yeah,
actually believing it?
I was gonna say, I think that's most of it, and I think that's why it did so well in that early pretty much from 2010 to probably about 2020. You know,
Yeah.
you have a place like social media that human beings have never had to interact with, and we don't know really how to kind of navigate social media. You know what I mean? We've never had that much information at our fingertips, and we've
Mm,
never
yeah.
been able to argue at our fingertips. You know, And I think that's really what it's more so about is the nuh-uh argument. It's funny to me that like when I was kind of doing this really quick vague research that the 2010s is where the latest started, and I was like, yep, I can remember the day when I just started getting any social media, whether it was Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, anything at that point in time was just getting flooded with all this stupid shit. So
Oh, I mean, it was a movement, basically.
it really was. And here's the thing. This is probably going to piss off a lot of flat earthers if you are listening to this. We're going to go through 25 main beliefs of flat earthers. But I guarantee you, if you talk to 25 flat earthers, they wouldn't agree with a single one of these. This is why it's so stupid to argue with these people. It really is. I like what you said at the beginning of this. It's contrarian. We're just going to say, nuh-uh. Or the argument is like when you're a kid on the playground and, well, how many numbers can you count to? I can count to infinity. Well, I could do infinity plus one. That is
Right.
literally the argument broken down in a general sense, you know?
I didn't know
Okay.
there were 25. That's a
Well,
lot.
I'm sure there are a lot more. I just found this that I thought was kind of funny and I wanted to go. Some of them, I'll be real honest. I won't be able to, articulate because I really don't know a whole lot about it.
Mhm.
I'm just going to give my own opinion. So, complete disclaimer right here as I sip my shill wine. We're going to go through these 25 flat earth main beliefs, even though they're probably not main beliefs to every flat earther. So, number one, Earth is flat. Pretty easy to, guess that just from the name of the movement itself. Second is the flat earth model. Now, here's the problem with the flat earth model. Nobody can agree on a fucking model. No one.
Really? Thought it was all the ice wall around the edge or whatever.
See, that's the
I don't
thing.
agree on that.
No, dude, you can talk to different flat earthers and they'll be like, "Well, actually it's this," or "Actually it's there's no ice wall. It's just little islands out in the middle of nowhere where after you pass Antarctica." Like, dude, I'm telling you, this is why it's such bullshit. You know what I mean? You can't even come up with a model that everybody agrees on that you can look at scientifically and say, this is how this works. Because the second a model's disproved, they're like, well, actually, it's this new model that I just did a bunch of research and I just found out this new thing about this. Like, okay, God, dude.
Right. Yeah. Research. Yeah.
Research. Look into it, bro. I got a YouTube video. You need to check out this video on YouTube. Look into it.
Yeah.
I have a gentleman, I'm not going to say where, that I may currently or previously have worked with that is a flat earther. And that is one of the best conversations that we've ever
Oh,
had
wow.
was just look into it, bro. You just don't understand. You need to look into it, man. Like, okay, thank you. I will do that. But yeah, there's so many different models. You have some of where you have the dome over top. You have the ice wall. You
Mhm.
have that one that I talked in the beginning where it almost looks like a carved out bowl, but the middle of the bowl is kind of concave upwards. You can Google
Yeah.
the models and just see a plethora of them. The most common one that I've seen, though, is the flat disc with the wall of ice around the outside. And then it's like you have a very local sun and a very local moon that kind of are offset from each other and they spin around.
Yeah. That's what I've seen the most.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, like, not to talk too much shit, but I think, honestly, that's probably the most widely accepted one for people that believe in flat Earth. It's the one for them that makes the most sense. Well, speaking of the ice wall, that is number three. Many flat earthers claim that Antarctica is not a continent, but a giant wall of ice encircling the Earth, preventing the water falling off the edge.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got to prevent that
Well,
because we don't have gravity if it's.
we're going to get into some stuff about Antarctica here later in the episode when we talk about, some of the other, more mainstream documentaries that have happened. One of my favorite things about it, though, is they always talk about how for the longest time you couldn't go to Antarctica. The government will stop you.
Mhm.
The,
Right. Yeah.
you will get off the boat at whatever like quasi port they have in Antarctica, and there will be NASA employees there waiting for you with their trained penguins that know how to kill you, or some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Not to,
Right.
but there are scientific researchers working and living in Antarctica as we speak. Like it,
Those are paid actors.
that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that. You're right. Those people are drinking the shill whiskey. They don't get the wine. They get the
Yeah.
whiskey. That is so much better, you know.
Yeah.
Here I am, just a lowly peasant over here with my shill wine.
Yeah, it tastes like ass.
It does. Bullshit.
I want the whiskey.
Number
I would
4,
love to go to Antarctica just as a side. That would be
dude.
great.
Well, okay. One of the things they talk about with Antarctica, though, is how why does nobody live there? Because it's a fucking desolate,
But
dry,
yeah,
horrible place that nothing lives, grows, or like animals don't live there. You have penguins and you have well, no. Am I wrong in that?
no, there's no polar bear.
That's right. Okay, thank you. But there is nothing there besides
Yeah.
dry, wind swept glaciers.
Right.
That's it.
Isn't it technically a desert?
Technically,
Right?
yeah, because the
Yeah.
precipitation is so low, you know.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yes, there is nothing there. There is no reason for humans to inhabit that area besides the few that do the scientific research. There you go. It's not some grand plan. Nazis didn't build a base there. There's no UFOs there. Well, maybe there's UFOs there. I could be wrong on that. But there's
It might be
nothing
buried.
right. There's nothing nefarious. Well, there might be something nefarious. I don't want to give them too much credit. But you're allowed to go to Antarctica, is my point. Do you know what I'm saying? You are allowed to go there. So, next one we have is gravity is a hoax.
The hope.
Yeah, you know, they're lying to us. Some members
But
reject the concept of gravity as presented in mainstream science, proposing alternative explanations such as the Earth is constantly accelerating up.
yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah. Yeah, we're just hurtling through space up because there
Okay,
is up in space,
yes, we are hurtling through space, which within
but
itself
not
is,
up.
I know, but
Yeah.
like, have you ever seen how the sun moves like around the band of the Milky Way and we orbit around it? Like, it looks insane. Like, that within
Yeah.
itself blows my mind. Now we're going to take a flat plane that we've never seen anything of mass have a flat plane in space. It's
Right.
always spherical because that is the preferred shape that nature has decided when something reaches something that has enough mass. It becomes spherical. That's why stars, that's why, well, I guess stars don't exist because it's a hoax. Planets, once again, don't exist because all they see are lights in the sky with their telescopes. Everything, once it reaches a certain mass, though, will maintain that spherical shape because it's what nature has designed as the most, what would be the best way to say it? Efficient way to have that shape held together or to have that mass held together via gravity, which is not like, I don't know. Usually, whenever you have a problem, and you can apply this to anything in your life, usually the simplest idea is the best solution to that problem.
Right. Occam's razor.
Exactly.
Well, they don't believe in that.
Well,
Also,
yeah.
gravity is just a theory, right? They don't understand what theories mean in
Well,
science.
that's the thing, you know, and it's one of those where we talk about what words actually mean. And when you start, I've seen so many awesome interviews and debates with flat earthers and, you know, whether they're scientifically minded people, whether they're actually, you know, graduates, scientists from very prestigious universities that actually do really amazing researchers, physicists, astrophysicists, even if it's just somebody as simple as like a YouTuber that, you know, has a scientific background. It's so funny when those flat earthers step outside of those like mainstream talking points from flat earth. Yeah, mainstream flat earth talking points because you all say the same fucking shit. You're not different because you're saying everything the same. They don't know what to do anymore. Like the
Yeah.
second they have to like take a step back and really be, you know, they can't self-correct because they're not thinking for themselves, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like a cult, I guess.
It is 100% a cult.
Yeah.
So NASA's a conspiracy. That's number five. They are engaged in a massive conspiracy to conceal the true nature of our planet. Every time I hear this, I ask why.
Yeah.
What
Like,
would what is the point?
yeah, they don't gain anything by hiding it. I mean, what does it really matter? Like,
What does it matter? And you always hear the same thing. It's about control. Control over what?
right. Yeah, we're
What?
still not leaving the planet. It doesn't matter if it's
Yeah,
like,
I've just never understood that. I'm here for a good conspiracy theory. I love them. What makes you think about crazy stuff. But when I ask you, like, oh, I wonder what the reasoning was behind that, it's like, so they can control you, man. It's like, okay, but
do what?
to
Yeah.
do what? To go to work and pay bills like I already do? Like that doesn't do anything. So here's another good one, and I'm not going to gloss over these next few because there's not really a whole lot to them. Photos and videos are fake. Everything that you show them, everything that you if you show them anything from that famous Earth picture from the moon, that's fake. Anything that astronauts in space, anything that they see from the International Space Station, it's all fake. It's all wires. It's all shot in a studio. It's not real. It's one of those things though where I can almost kind of get behind that just because there were a lot of like propaganda-esque things that happened for the moon landing because we were against Russia, to try to
Yeah.
get there. And there were some
Right.
fake photos that were made. So I can 100% understand where you're coming with that. But you can't just say like right off the rip, you have a bias that everything is fake. There's no like we can't have a like actual intelligent conversation about it then because you're just gonna say nuh-uh,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
No, it's fake. So, yeah, there's no changing their mind.
Yeah, my favorite is the sun and moon movements. We kind of talked about that when we were talking about the different models that they have, where you have a very close local sun and a very close local moon, and you just kind of see them rotating. You,
Right.
you know what I mean?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It looks like if you had it on a plate, and, they always try. I always like how they do these. They do these experiments not at scale. They'll get a big flashlight and they'll put it super close to the plate and be like, see all the dark on the plate? It wouldn't have that if it's a super close local sun. Okay, but then you start asking about things like time zones. You start asking like things about, seasons and how like the sun and moon start to change and how, the cycles of even the moon phases, it just all starts
Right.
to fall apart at that point.
Yeah.
They'll they'll come up with some crazy off the wall shit that doesn't mean anything and that they are really reaching for, but you're not going to get anything out of it with
Yeah.
that.
Or how do they explain like the eclipses?
Well, if you have a flat disk, it would, eclipse as a sphere from the
I mean,
side
how is
because it's
the
a
sun
circle.
and
It's
oh,
yeah.
okay.
But here's the deal. Here's the deal. At some point, it would probably just be a flat line across the moon.
Right.
But, once again, I don't know how they believe and how they think that works. Honestly, I don't really give a shit if we're being honest.
Right.
But speaking of, things like eclipses and stuff like that, there is no curvature. Flat earthers claim that the lack of observable curvature, especially over long distance, supports the idea of a flat earth. You can literally see ships go over the horizon and dip below the horizon. Those massive telephone and communication towers they have out in the ocean, there's an awesome picture of it dipping over the curve. You can physically see it. Now, what I have seen these people do is they will get some shitty ass like Nikon camera and they will zoom ships back in to view out of sight, right?
Yeah, I have seen that.
The problem is they don't believe in refraction either. They don't think that light bounces off of water and causes refraction from the things that is on the water. They don't believe it. You know what I mean? That you
That's
can literally
crazy.
well, you can literally look at when you see like ships like super far off, it looks like they're floating above the water. Like they're not touching the water anymore
Right.
because of that light hitting the water and the boat, and it's creating that optical illusion. But once again, that's not real. That is the argument. That doesn't happen. No, it's not. Nuh-uh. I swear to God.
What about mirages? Like,
I don't know. Nuh-uh. That's what about mirages, Sarah. Nuh-uh.
my God, that's crazy.
It's nuts. And like I said, I really enjoy watching, I'll talk about them here shortly, but some YouTubers that, debunk the flat earth, and they're really funny, and I'll have links down below for everybody to check those guys out too. But moving on, there is no outer space. Zero. Nothing. There's nothing out there. Nothing whatsoever. Some members that believe flat earth reject the existence of outer space altogether, asserting that what is perceived as space is simply a dome or a firmament above the earth. I'm assuming because there is a very misconstrued verse in the Bible that talks about, the separation of the heavens and the earth. And it's crazy, right? Like nobody would ever take the works of a religious book and twist them to fit a narrative. Never
Right, that
seen
never
that before.
happens. Yeah. What do they think we're floating in if there's no space? Like, what?
I don't know. That's one of those things, like we can look out and observe. And just because you don't understand how things are made and how amazing the natural processes of the universe is, it doesn't mean it
Right.
like yes, if you go out somewhere and you look at, you go out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, it's not, and there's no light pollution, and you can physically see the bands of the Milky Way. It's like, holy shit, this is so crazy. And you don't have the mental capacity to understand how all of that was made, you know? It's such a simple, stupid cop out, in my opinion. Once again, nuh-uh. That's not, nope, nope, just lights in the sky, just little dots on the firmament, whatever the fuck you believe. But
I think they need to read more books
well,
and get outside.
yeah. I'll give you my, not that I haven't been giving you my honest opinion, but I'll give you my honest opinion of what I really think of flat earthers kind of more towards the end. But moving on with this, I'm going to skip over a handful of these. Oh, this one's really good. Water always finds its level. Explain fucking tides to me then.
Yeah.
Explain that. Explain tides. Because that water is obviously not level. If it's lower at one point where the low tide is, then it's higher at some other point where the high tide is, and vice versa when that tide comes back in. Just
Right.
because you see it sitting, quote unquote, level from your perspective relative to where you are. See, that's the thing that these people don't understand. They don't know what perspective and relativity means in like position to themselves observing, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's very self-centered way of
Exactly.
thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not heliocentric, we're me-centric. That is what we are.
Right. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about the no gravity thing is they like to equate it to density and buoyancy. So they will say the reason why things fall to the ground, and this is like, I think, a kind of a counter argument to the falling up sort of idea,
Hmm.
is that things that are more dense will settle towards the ground. Things that are less dense will go up towards the
Yeah.
firmament.
I guess.
Well,
Because we're in like a soup. That's what water does, but
and it's one of those things. It's like, okay, so is a butterfly more dense than a peanut?
well, butterflies have the ability to fly. I don't know. Does anything that have the ability to fly gonna count?
Probably not.
I don't know. Because they can just flit away whenever they're not beholden to gravity.
Yeah, NASA doesn't have their evil clutches in them. That's what it really is.
Right, yeah.
Birds aren't real, man.
I know, yeah. I really want to do that one.
Oh, we can
Anything
do
with
that.
wings is not real.
We got it. We're gonna do
NASA
that.
drone.
Yeah. We kind of already talked about the sun's size and distance in that similar model. It's not big. It's very local. Where some people I've heard even as close as like 3,000, 4,000 feet, something like
What?
that. It it's nuts. It's fucking nuts. So
Oh my god.
Do
Do you not
passenger
believe in radiation either?
No, of course no, because it's not a thermonuclear reaction happening in between hydrogen and helium. It's just a light. It's like a spotlight. That's what it is, Sarah. Okay?
It's just a flashlight?
It's
God
that
just like
yeah. God's just like, "Hey, here's your
and
light,
he just
guys."
moves it.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does all day, just stirring the fucking pot, with his light.
Yeah.
God, dude. There is no space travel. Okay. Of course, if space is not real, how the fuck are you going to travel through it? Makes sense to me. Uh,
Yeah.
Flight altitudes. If we think the fucking sun is only 3,000,
Yeah.
4,000 miles away, sure as fuck aren't going 30,000 feet and it's, 747. That's for damn sure. So the thing with the flight altitudes, they claim that they should encounter different conditions if the Earth is a sphere. I don't know what those different conditions are, but apparently, I don't know. I
It
feel
should just
like,
be different.
yeah, I feel like I could have probably done a little bit more research into this, but I cannot be bothered to actually listen to this shit. Like I truly can't. You know. Here we go. We were kind of talking about this before. Lunar eclipse explanation, offering
Hmm.
alternative explanations to lunar eclipses, suggesting that they are caused by uncelestial bodies.
What? How can there be unknown if there's no space?
Right?
Okay.
We
And
just
why are
pick
there other
we pick and choose here, Sarah. This is what we do. Okay?
Yeah.
We pick and fucking choose. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like if you listen to them and you derail them off of their typical like talking point, it fucking falls apart. Because you're like, hold on, I thought you said there's no space. What celestial bodies? Where are those celestial bodies? What are they in? What
Right.
you have zero opportunity to like the second you take something away from them, they can't do anything anymore. It's hilarious. All right, we're almost done with this maddening fucking list here. They have okay, oh here you go. No Coriolis effect, denying the Coriolis effect and claiming the lack of observable deflection in moving objects disproves the Earth's rotation. All right. So one of the funniest things, I was watching some shorts on this before I started, and this lady was saying that she doesn't believe in the Coriolis effect because she was in the military and she shot guns, and they never talked about that. The gentleman asked her, what kind of weapons did you shoot? Stuff like missiles and, long range ballistics and stuff like that? No, M16s. Motherfucker, you were shooting no more than 300 fucking meters
Like
with that.
yeah.
Yeah, of course they didn't tell you anything about the fucking Coriolis effect because you're not shooting far enough for it to affect anything.
Right. Yeah.
My God, it made me want to. Oh, this getting me riled up, Sarah. I hate it.
Where they think the Earth is so much smaller too, right? If the moon and the sun are close, whatever. It's just such a small area. They think.
I don't know, but like, sitting thinking about like the sizes of like continents and countries and stuff like that. Like, according to that model of Antarctica with it going all the way around, Antarctica would be fucking massive. Like,
Yeah.
unbelievably massive. The biggest continent that we have on Earth would be fucking Antarctica because it wraps entirely around. If you were to try to walk a circle around that, you'd be walking on the edge of the flat plane pizza disc fucking thing we supposedly live on. Yeah, it would be unreal. It'd be like you walking on the equator. It would take you
Mm.
significantly longer to walk the equator than it would for you to walk a circle around the North Pole. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, here's one that I think is funny. There is no edge to fall off. Flat earthers often argue there is no edge to the flat earth, and the concept of falling off the edge is a misinterpretation. There is a gentleman, I cannot remember his name, where he thinks that Antarctica is like a barrier between us and other land masses. And that's really where
Mhm.
aliens come from, is these other land masses past Antarctica. Now my
Then they're
question
not
is
aliens.
exactly. My second question now, since we're dealing with human beings that live on the other side of the ice wall, like fucking straight up Game of Thrones shit,
Yeah.
how far does that go? Do they have an ice wall that they have aliens? And do they have an ice wall that, like, dude, listen,
Yeah.
this is just getting, you're getting out of hand.
Otherwise the water will fall off. There has to
Yeah,
be.
it's, my favorite, one of my favorite things they talked about, you cannot measure gas without a container. And that's why we have a dome over us, is because that's what holds the gas in. Of course, it can't be gravity because that's not real. But yeah,
Right.
you can't have gas without a container. Okay. Anyway,
Maybe there's how many circles of hell are in Dante? Maybe there's that many layers of ice
7.
wall and
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there's 7. Maybe that's where it came from. He knew the whole time.
Maybe this is hell and we're already
Yeah.
in one of the circles. Who knows?
Right. Yeah.
Or maybe this
Or
is a bunch of.
is there a smaller ice wall somewhere?
No, because the North Pole is the center. Duh.
There's not a little island inside that.
There might be, who knows? A lot of these people believe in the hollow earth thing too. So, that could be the
Yeah.
entrance. All right, we're almost done with this madness. They have a selective acceptance of science. No fucking shit. Members
Right.
may selectively accept or reject scientific principles based on whether they align with flat earth beliefs. Once again, if it works on my model, yeah, I'm all about it. If it doesn't, no. There is a lot of religious interpretations that come from this, and I think that's where a lot of this comes from. You have very ignorant, sheltered people that only consume a certain type of media, and that is what their entire life becomes. That's honestly what I think it is. You start to get consumed by this, and you incorporate religious beliefs into your worldview, which is fine. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but then you start suggesting that like specific scriptures, texts support your ideology. Once again, we kind of talked about that at the beginning. No bad people have ever done that in the
Right.
history of human beings, of taking religious books and twisting it to their own fucking, whatever they want to do with that movement. And the last thing that they always do is they always use personal observation. Okay. If you can see it, you can touch it. We have senses that's what we're going to utilize. We're not going to utilize any kind of scientific data. We're not going to use any kind of scientific instruments. I have to see it. I have to feel it. I have to touch it, which in most cases is pretty awesome. We have a great set of senses that we have been blessed with in our evolutionary path as human beings, right? The problem is those motherfuckers lie to you because
Plus,
we are not equipped. Okay, one of the best examples I've heard about this is when we were living early hominids on like the plains of Africa. If we saw something fast running at us, we weren't like, what is that? Is that a lion? Is that a baboon? Oh, it's a lion. Is that a female lion? No, I think that's a male lion. How many teeth is that? No, you got the fuck out of the way.
right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't have an opportunity to think about it. You know what I mean? So whenever we see things, we've talked about this with like pattern recognition and things like this with other things. People see what they want to see. So you can't trust your senses all the time. You honestly can't. No.
They just want to see what they want to see anyway.
My biggest question is, if we're a flat plane, what the fuck is under it? And what's propelling it if that's gravity pushing up? That's what I want to know. That's really what I want to know.
God's hand.
But that's true. He's just
Obviously. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Dude, they wrote a fucking song about it.
Yeah.
We figured it out, Sarah. We figured it out. God,
Right.
man, what took everybody so long? Hey, we need to publish some papers. Let's get on this, okay?
Yeah. Do they publish papers
I
for the
doubt
flat
it.
Earth?
I doubt it. What they do publish is a bunch of bullshit. So we're going to talk about an awesome documentary. Listeners, if you have not seen Behind the Curve, you need to check this shit out. It is amazing. Amazing. One of the best pieces of cinema I've ever seen in my life. And I mean that sincerely.
Yeah.
It mostly focuses around a gentleman by the name of Mark Sargent, I believe, where he was kind of like one of the big proponents of that early flat earth movement. My favorite part of that documentary, not only with all the madness that you see and they kind of like derail it a little bit to where like he likes another flat earther and they met at a flat earth convention, like, okay, I don't give a shit about that. There's a couple experiments in there where, one of them is where they bought this super expensive gyroscope to see what, the tilt was going to be of the earth, and it turned out that exactly what that evil NASA science tilt said it was going to be is exactly what that gyroscope said. And the second they saw that, they're like, well, something's got to be wrong with the gyroscope. That
Right.
can't be right.
Yeah, the instrument's wrong, obviously.
There's something wrong with our method. We're not testing this right. There has to be something wrong. We've only got the same results 17 times. Anyway, the last experiment, though, is probably my absolute favorite. Listeners, if
Yeah.
you're not familiar, they are on a large body of water. They have two pieces of like plywood, holes cut in the top of these pieces of plywood. And what they're trying to do is they have a flashlight at one hole. And being that Earth is flat, they have these two holes perfectly aligned at the right height, one really far away from the other.
Okay.
Now, being that it's flat, you should be able to shine that flashlight through and see it from wherever you're at on the Earth, no matter what. They ask, go ahead, put the flashlight up. Flashlight goes up. He said, can you see it? Nope. They said, if it's flat, if it's curved, we might have to raise the flashlight above your head. He says, go ahead and raise the flashlight above your head, and lo and fucking behold, let there be light.
Right.
And it ends with that dude saying, that's interesting. That's literally how the documentary ends.
Yeah. Just cutscene. Oh my god. See, this is why I feel like they're trolling. Like they don't actually believe this.
They're okay.
I know some do. I know some do.
There
But
has to be a
that's
large
crazy.
portion of people that are straight up just grifting this. And like you
Yeah.
said, just trolling. That
Right.
there's no way. Because like you said, in the early 20s, a lot of people were making some serious fucking money off of this, especially
Yeah.
on YouTube. You know, you had these flat earthers that were just making these stupid videos. Guys like Eric DeBay, Mark Sargent, a bunch of other, David Weiss is another flat earther that I know was big on YouTube and stuff like that. He might still be. These people were making a lot of money off of YouTube.
Right. Yeah.
And I hate to like I'm not trying to say I don't know any of these individuals. I don't think they're horrible people. I think they're kind of stupid and that it just is what it is. But I also think they're extremely intelligent for taking something and running with it and making a business out of it. That's what they're doing. They're not there to actually tell you the truth about anything. They're there to make AdSense revenue off of YouTube. That's literally what they're doing, and more power to them. If people are going to sit and watch that crap, go for it, man. I'm all here for it.
I mean, it makes people angry, like we've
Exactly.
demonstrated. So
Yeah,
that
100%.
gets engagement. I mean,
Yeah. And to be fair, some of my favorite guilty pleasure YouTubes are Professor Dave Explains. He's debated multiple flat earthers, and it's so great. If you haven't checked it out, you guys need to check out Dave Farina on YouTube. It's one of the funniest things. He does not hold back. Most of the time when somebody debates flat earthers, they try to be nice and they try to be, cordial with them. He is not. He is not having any more of this shit, and it is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. He's a very smart guy, and he absolutely has the eviscerating debate structure that we all know and love. Another good one that I've liked is another channel called Sci-Man Dan. He's a little bit more nicer, but he does more of like reaction videos to flat Earth videos. Those are pretty good too. I think that's more what I engage with on the flat Earth side more than the actual flat Earth is, these guys, looking like a whatever. But before we wrap this up, we have a here recently awesome thing that happened called the final experiment. Had you look into this at all, Sarah?
Yeah, I did a little bit.
So this is what I think is great. So they always talk about how there's this weird like religious thing that goes along with it. The guy that kind of started this is a guy named Will Duffy. He's a former investment broker and now he's a pastor for a church in Colorado. He created a website and he invited flat earthers and four flat earthers and four globe earthers to make a trip to the privately operated Union Glacier Camp. So this isn't a government place. This is a privately owned thing. It's located approximately 79 degrees south latitude, so pretty fucking far down there. Okay. This is where they could observe the midnight sun during the summer solstice. One of those people that went as a flat earther, I cannot remember his name. I think it's Jaron, I want to say. I might be wrong, though. Has made a lot of YouTube videos about how a 24-hour sun is not possible. Not possible. They're lying. NASA is lying to you. It's not true. And he was one of the first people when they got done watching the sun in the air or up in the sky for 4 hours to come on camera and be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I've watched it happen. And the worst part about this is I feel like this guy genuinely believed that the earth was flat. Like, I don't feel like he was doing it as a grift. He has been attacked mercilessly online by flat earthers.
Yeah, that is sad.
And it's so bad because like he didn't say anything like he's still trying to figure it out. And once again, he's the only person. I kind of looked into him a little bit, watched some of his videos. He's not one of those people that will just say nuh-uh. He'll try to break it down to the best of his ability and have an actual honest intellectual conversation relative to what he believes. Okay, he's not going to sit there and he's not going to, you know, tell you anything crazy about how you're just a shill or whatever. But yeah, now that he's kind of backpedaled a little bit and been like, yeah, I'm here, I'm watching this, I've seen it happen, he has gotten attacked so mercilessly online by these other flat earthers, which is just fucking stupid, you know?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's
it
like,
makes sense though.
yeah, it's one of those things where, if you make this your whole identity, this is your life, right? You believe this with every fiber of your being. It's really hard when someone gives you something, and this could be anything. It's not just flat Earth. When somebody gives you something that completely disproves everything you believe. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, they can't accept it. They have to push them out instead.
Yeah. And like you said, it's very cult-like behavior. Very cult-like behavior in that aspect, But I don't know. I think it's been abundantly clear through the episode. I don't fucking believe in flat Earth. I think we live on a sphere. I think that
You're a glober.
I am a glober. I don't think NASA has anything nefarious. I think that the we've explored most of the world in which we live in, and human beings are extremely, explorative creatures, and that's the next place we're going. So we need companies and we need government organizations to push us to that next frontier of space travel. There's no ifs, ands, buts about it. I don't think there's anything nefarious with that sort of organization, especially NASA. I think they're just trying to get up, and get some money away from, other government spending projects and stuff like that, just enough to, help push that needle forward a little bit. That's all I think.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's pretty ridiculous that we're back to thinking it's flat or whatever. I would like to know the percentage of people that do think that.
Well,
But
I
it's like
think,
a regression.
well, it definitely feels like it. And especially after, when was that final experiment?
I thought it was last year or maybe 2 years ago or last year.
No, it was 2024.
Yeah.
I want to say it had to have been like November, December. I want to say. I can't remember for sure though. Anyway, it was relatively recent. And really, that's been like kind of like a nail in the coffin, so to speak. You've seen other people like on YouTube, but dude, you watch these guys try to explain this stuff, and it is the most pathetic, reaching,
Yeah.
crazy theory. Everybody's just like, nah, I think we're good, man. I think we're okay now. Like, I don't want to hear this shit anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I do hope it's over if that's what it takes.
I don't ever think it's gonna be. I think, like you said at the beginning, sir, I think it's just a contrarian belief. I think it's one of those
Yeah.
where you believe this, I don't believe this because I'm different and cool. It's like the people that talk about being abducted by aliens. They chose me. They chose me. They wanted me to see. It's a very me-centric idea. That's really what it comes down to, man. And once again, I'm not knocking it. If you believe that, cool. I'm not going to listen to your shit though. That's plain and
Right.
simple. You know,
I feel like they'll just move on to the next thing that's like, since it's not gonna be, it's pretty much disproven by the people or whatever, and it's kind of disbanding after the final experiment, I feel like. So maybe they'll move on to the next contrarian thing.
the electric universe. Do you know about that? Oh man, we got to talk about the electric
I don't
universe.
know
Oh
about that.
man, the electric universe.
Never
Anyway,
heard that.
oh, it's
Okay.
a good one. But I think that'll probably wrap it up. Listeners, what do you think about all this madness? Are you a flat earther? If you're a flat earther, put it in the comments down below. Whatever, however you're
Yeah.
interacting with this, for the love of God, put it in there. I want to talk to you guys. Hell, maybe if we work it out, you can come on the podcast and you can school me and Sarah and tell us how stupid we are. I would love to do that. But thank you guys for listening. However you're consuming this media, like, comment, share, give us a solid review on Spotify, Apple. Like I said, however you're interacting with this, let us know what you think about it. Give us any ideas for topics, and that'll probably wrap up today for Flat Earth.
And remember, just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not watching. See you next time on The Paranoid Perspective.